Hello, it's Toyah here, and this is my wonderful world of weird. I love short stories, especially when they change your sense of reality or even question it. Now, these are stories that can make you feel more than comfortable and sometimes, and most likely, very uncomfortable. You can fit them in as you're waking up in bed in the morning or going to bed at night if you like to have a little nightmare after listening to it. So this is for you. This is called The Bone Hut. As Jeremy steps off the bus, he surveys the overwhelming brutality and beauty of the Dolomite Peaks. He draws the crystal air into his lungs and starts the 7K walk to his beloved uncle's mountain lodge off the shore of Lake Fye. He can't wait to see this gentle, bearded old man again because it's been over 6 months. It is April and the sunlight at dawn is hitting the valley floor. Green grass is peeping through the slush of melting snow and light reflects off the lake's surface. Jeremy's eyes feel burnt. It's a quiet Monday morning. No one else stepped off the bus and no hikers are to be seen. He swears the entire population has left as he basks in his own isolation and the lake entices him forward. Having travelled the world since he was 20, looking for perfect locations for his clientele to hunt, Jeremy badly needed the company of his quiet, inward-thinking uncle who chants daily by the waterside, grows his own food, loves animals, never eats meat, but ironically collects all the bones he can find to honour them in his bone hut, a place he regards as sacred, that rattles wayward tunes in the dark on stormy nights, a place of rituals to honour Earth's magnificent powers and the location of the occasional sweat lodge. Jeremy loves his uncle. His father had been gone a good 40 years now, but his Uncle Frederick stood in quickly to become a surrogate to the broken-hearted 10-year-old boy. Frederick fascinated him. At the age of 78, he loves his own company, saying, how can he ever feel lonely in a world that resonates creation? Jeremy was walking a good pace and imagined he'd reach the mountain lodge by midday. Well behind him was the nearest road, and walking was his only option other than horse, or maybe a quad bike if the ground was dry. But this is what made his visits amazing. The feral and visceral isolation surrounded by mountains and unpredictable weather. In the distance, he could see something moving. He got excited because he thought for a moment his uncle had come to meet him. About 200 yards ahead, a body of sorts stooped over a prone object on the path. As he drew closer, he was convinced it was Frederick. He was so confident it was his uncle, he shouted out, "Hello!" But the stooped figure stood in a slow, angular way, like a folding chair opening up, and turned to face him. Then the figure ran at an unnatural speed with something that looked like a rugby ball banging against its side. Jeremy shivered. The hair raised on his neck. Then he thought of the bright light hitting the water and the snow refracting, and his mind concocted he must have been witnessing a brown bear with its kill, possibly a wolf. After all, they do rear up, especially if you're about to shoot them. The mountain path started its incline, and Jeremy was slightly out of breath when he reached where the figure was stooped over something. On the ground was a carcass. The kill was recent. The meat on the bones looked fresh, but the body was bloodless. Absolutely not one drop to be seen. No metallic smell of iron or ketones. The animal, a red deer, had no head. It had been cleanly removed, cut off with razor sharpness with an expert human hand. Now, being a hunter, he thought nothing of it, but he was irked that the rest of the beast wasn't used. After all, the meat, the fur, every single bit of it had value. You don't just take a trophy. He would tell his uncle that there was most likely some amateur on the mountain grabbing anything that they could kill. At last, the mountain lodge came into sight. Jeremy's head soared. Frederick was tending his growing area. A beautifully manicured selection of cabbages, carrots, kale, chard, potatoes, and a hardy apple tree struggling to grow against the valley winds. Even flowers were growing. Picking up pace, Jeremy ran towards Frederick and hugged him. "My dear bearded giant," he shouted, "I can't tell you how good it is to see you." Frederick's benevolent smile said it all in silence. "I've brought you a bag of fresh ground coffee," said Jeremy, "and some pastries. Come on, Uncle, let's breakfast on the mountain." They headed indoors, and Jeremy saw the deer's head on the ground. "Uncle, where did you get that?" "Oh, it appeared about 2 hours ago. I have a neighbour near the lake who sometimes drops off roadkill. I mean, it's either that or some trickster who knows about the bone hunt. I let it decompose in the sunlight. Nature will clean the skull, that or scavengers. Then it can join the rest in the bone hut. Come on, I need some simple carbohydrate and coffee for breakfast." As they walked to the lodge, Jeremy queried, "Won't it attract bears? Wolves even?" "No," said Frederick. "They don't come anywhere near here." Lying awake, looking at the night sky and the laser clear stars, Jeremy's jet lag was getting the better of him, but he didn't care. He was in his place of safety and healing. His uncle let him have the hammock in the yard. A wind was picking up and the temperature was close to freezing, but it was glorious. And 50 yards away, he could hear the bones in the bone hut rattling and whistling as the wind infiltrated the old wooden walls. Frederick loved his bone hut. He loved the long-lost tradition of respect, human dominance, and never letting anything be discarded, saying, "We don't know very much about the Neanderthal. Some collected vertebrae of mammoths, stacked them at the base of the main house, tusks too. We know that these bones are hundreds of pounds in weight, and it took many of them to lift them. It needed group cooperation and planning to make it so. And in these bone houses were many, many fireplaces where the Neanderthals could meet." Jeremy smiled to himself. On the side of this desolate mountain, his uncle had created the life he idolized, loved, and needed. Unable to sleep, he got to his feet and he walked to the bone hut. This ancient, artistic expression of love and appreciation of all, made by his uncle's hands, glowed in the light of the stars. A small dominant whistling sound emanated from within. Jeremy opened the door. He took his hunter's torch from his pocket and he flicked the switch. And he was surrounded by well-arranged glowing bones. There were bears, wolves, goats, sheep, hare, mice, no mammals. But in the centre of the main wall, facing the door, was a surprise. A complete primate skeleton, stretched vertically up the wall about 10 feet tall, expertly splayed as if glued to the wall like a museum exhibit. Wow, that's out of place, Jeremy thought. As he moved closer, he could see the elongated finger bones, nails that looked like talons. The bone structure of the legs wasn't right. Huge ankle joints, 7 toes, a knee on each leg, but also a second joint that looked like it could bend in the opposite direction. Moving up to the head, the neck was too long for an ape, and the nasal bone was more like a horse, but the teeth were extraordinary. They were long and shark-like. Jeremy wanted to wake his uncle because he was excited, because this, as far as he was concerned, as a hunter, was a completely new species. He turned and slowly jogged out of the door, and behind him, the full skeleton shook. It grew muscles, it grew flesh around the strange bones. Red eyes formed, and knife-like razor talons formed at the end of the finger bones. Its skin grew around the muscle and the sinew, and it was grey. Its breath was silent. The heart rate was slow, like a hunter's. Frederick's bone hut harboured a Neanderthal shapeshifter, an eternal spirit built by the prayer of cave dwellers over thousands of years, each prayer adding more flesh to the myth of its existence. Now Frederick's prayers by the lake had completed it. It lifted itself from the wall mount, and it followed Jeremy, never letting him out of its sight. In the morning, Frederick's nephew's head was waiting on the doorstep for his uncle to discover. Frederick, putting it out to dry in the midday sun, felt it was a fitting time, place and end to a prolific hunter's life. The rest of Jeremy's remains were left for the carrion to clean, a kind of sky burial, the highest Buddhist honour, and his bones will be guarded by the shapeshifter until they crumble, even for all eternity. Thank you, everybody, and sweet dreams and lots of love from Toyah.